Hey, what's going on, guys? Kalamazi here, and this video today is going to be my large, updated Warlock feedback video, post, all that for Midnight Alpha. We are getting into the final week of Midnight Alpha. Assuming beta soon, it might even be next week. It might take a few weeks of, an extra week or two in Alpha to figure out some add-ons or some, nameplate stuff and all that. But beta is looming regardless, and I want to make this video talking about Warlock in a larger I guess you can say scale. I've made a couple little feedback videos. I want to make this large one. I want to talk about the post that I made for the forums because I typed up a 9-page dissertation today, basically looking at every Warlock spec, talking about how it plays, how it feels talent-wise, posted on the forums, Alpha forums. I also have a link to this document down below in the video description if you guys want to look at it or whatever. I'll likely be updating this over the course of Alpha, or Beta, I should say. If things do change, feedback, all that stuff, yada, yada, yada. I also want to drive home before we get into the feedback here, or wherever I'm editing this, wherever I'm editing this into the video, that there's not an ounce of me that's trying to talk in a condescending or demeaning manner towards anybody at all. I'm just passionate about Warlock and want it to be fun. So if it comes off that way, in any way, shape, or form, not meant to be that way. Just throwing it out there. There's a lot to cover in this video. I'm going to try and blast through it. It's going to be over half an hour long, I guarantee it. But I just like the class. I played it for far too long. I'm 34 years old now. But I want it to be fun and exciting. And some things are already there. Some things are very close. And I want this feedback to hopefully be helpful and get it there. So if you're Blizz and you're watching, thank you. And yeah, all right. Get back into it. But I want to talk about it in a video today as well, because honestly, putting it into a video form is... I hate typing this up every patch. I like talking about Lock, but I hate spending my whole day sitting here typing up 9 pages of feedback, and I can just make a video about it and yap about it. But if I already did this, I'm gonna use it in a video because honestly, I enjoy yapping about it more. Regardless, though, if you want to link to this document down below in the video description, as long as I remember. If I don't, I'll get it tomorrow when I wake up. So a bit of it talks about, like, we have AF, Demo, and Destro. Starting off with AF here. The AF section honestly more just talks about like the flow of the spec tree and how things sort of play out with that. I do hit briefly on Shared Agony and Agony Refreshes here. I'll hit on it right now. It's the only thing I want to hit on right now as far as like raw talents are. Yeah, it's over here. We talked about it already. I mean, there's more talents I want to hit on. I'll probably do it in an updated video in a few weeks when we get into beta. We really can't test Affliction right now. We really can't test any spec a whole lot. AF's still pretty buggy. Darkler doesn't extend UAs. UA wasn't functioning until last week. And even if when it's all working, nobody's running dungeons. Nobody has invites to Alpha right now. Not many people do. And I've run follower dungeons, but I can't test anything in there. It's a clown fiesta. So whenever beta comes out, we can test things. We'll have more feedback on probably more niche things. But I do want to hit briefly on Shared Agony and Agony Refreshes. Shared Agony is the way you spread Agony. Now, Vital Taint's gone. This will lead to having to hit Agony more. In general, we had to, with Vital Taint being a thing. At the same time, Vital Taint, it had the AoE application, well, to 8 targets. It did cost a shard, though. Awkward, Rapture, Synergy, S kind of stuff and all that there. Overall, I feel like I'm happy Vital Taint's gone. And I like Shared Agony overall, based on this version of AF, but I do wish there's another way to like maybe extend my agonies a bit more. Maybe through like Seed of Corruption, or just spending a shard in general. Maybe like spending a shard extends your active agonies by 1 to 1.5 seconds. Maybe you just make it Seed of Corruption does that. I don't know. That'd be nice to be tacking that on somewhere in one of the million seed talents you have in the tree here. But the big thing with Shared Agony, it needs to have some logic applied to it where it refreshes, it like prioritizes spreading the targets with no agony on them. And then if all targets that you're in combat with have agony on them or whatever, it prioritizes refreshing on the lowest duration mob near the one you're refreshing on. Basically, like if there are like 5 mobs that I'm in combat with, and 3 of them have agonies for 5 seconds remaining on them, and 2 have a full duration agony, it might randomly just refresh the full duration agony 3 times in a row when I hit it. That can't happen. It has to be smart. I can't dig through a field of nameplates and things and M+ with having like manually reapply agonies. So hopefully baking some logic in there will help Shared Agony become a bit better, like rotationally and all that. I believe Twin Moons has that already, someone said. Not sure, but Shared Agony needs to have that added on to it. The bigger thing here, though, with the actual Affliction class tree, and being real, I can just sort of go through this regardless here. I don't even need the document. So we have 34 talent points at 90. I have 30 available now. I'm 88. Just assume I have a point in here. It's whatever. I'm gonna have 30 points to put in my spec tree here, and we're gonna go from there. Now, when it comes to like Affliction in the first gate here, we're gonna call this gate 1. Basically here, Blizzard used to call them gates. I don't know if they do anymore, but I'm calling it that for the sake of this video. In the first part of the tree, gate 1 here, you are basically required to spend 9 points in this row to get all these talents here. So I've spent 8 essentially, or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I've spent 7. Yeah, 7, right? I need to spend 1 more to unlock row 2, which I can do, but you're required to take Summoner's Embrace. Honestly, man, like there's a world you just get rid of Summoner's Embrace and get rid of Sacrifice, or put Sacrifice like in like PvP tree at this point. It's never played in PvE, like ever. When they remove like the passive damage increase that it brought, like 10% into whatever it had, it's never played unless you're on a fight where pets are bugged, and that's not a good thing in the first place. In PvP, it's played a bunch. From what I understand, make it a PvP talent. Who cares? Honestly, Embrace like feels like a placeholder as well. You could just take this out of the tree, and honestly just make it Aura buff the spec. It's fine. There you go. Having spent 9 points in the tree to get to this, like 7 have been spent now. 8 have been spent. This row unlocks. You're required to take this. You're required to take this node, and this node. So spending 9 points in the first part of your tree, overspending in the first part of your tree feels pretty bad. So I think that's worth mentioning. Moving on to gate 2 here, though. There's a world you can probably just bump Shadow's Embrace and sack down to this part of the tree as well. But honestly, I think it can just go. Make it a PvP talent, delete it, buff the spec, who cares? It's fine. But when gate 2 opens up here, right, there's a lot of talents in here that feel sort of like bloaty. So you've got Haunt, you've got Improved Haunt. And Improved Haunt used to also apply Shadow's Embrace when we had that around. It's been removed. You can just take Improved Haunt and bake it into Haunt again. We don't need 2 points here for Haunt and Improved Haunt. This feels really lackluster. It feels unnecessary. You can just take Improved Haunt, put it back into Haunt, combine them both. I mean, you're going to want to play Haunt, obviously. It enables your Apex talent, and they buff Haunt a bunch. You're going to want the Improved Haunt, like, damage increase, but spending 2 points here just feels awkward. Feels sort of bad. So then you look over here at Xavius' Gambit, which takes 2 points as well. If you're doing an M+ build, you're going to want to have 2 points in Seed of Destruction, and also for Seeds, reduce cast time, all that. It just feels awkward, right? And then if you go over here, you're going to want Dark Harvest, and you're going to want Cold Week. Now, there's also a world where you can just combine Cold Week and Dark Harvest to get a bit more like talent options in this part of the tree. Honestly, even when it comes to Seeds of Destruction and Xavius' Gambit, these seem like prime candidates to just become 1-point talents. You can leave the full value of the effect here at, 2 out of 2, like value just at 1 point. It doesn't matter. But it feels like in this part of the tree, I have 13 talent points left, and I have so many things to grab still. And it just feels like there's a lot of bloat in here that can be trimmed to make the spec feel more fluent and not feel like I'm lacking points in a single target or AoE when I'm building a build. Now, I'm going to keep building this talent section here as an M+ build, right? So I'm going to pull out of Improved Haunt just for simplicity's sake. Now, the thing is like, I don't really want to play Xavius' Gambit. I mean, I want to play it, but it feels weird spending 2 points in Xavius' Gambit in a sense in M+, when I'm also spending 2 points over here in Seeds of Destruction. And the more we get into the build here, there's a lot of talents you have to play that buff AoE, the buff Seed. And I'm worried we're going to be in a world of lacking a world where we don't do any single target, where we were in Dragonflight and the 3 expansions before that, because everything's built around AoE. Back when you had, I forgot the talent, the buff Seed, it was like a red one in like Shadowlands, I think. I don't remember what it's called, but there's a bunch of them buff Seed, crazy amount. Your AoE was like insane. You did crazy AoE, but your single target was like tank damage, and this feels like we might be going back into that world again, because there's so many points you have to invest into things that you presumably want in Mythic Plus for Seed value and general M+ value, but you're like, oh, I don't have Fatal Echoes or Instability or Cloying Power or anything over here or Improved Haunt because I can't spend those points. So let's keep building here. You'll see what I'm saying. So I want to grab Sudden Onset, I want to grab Malediction, I want to grab Dark Lair, and I want to grab Contagion. So we've unlocked the 3rd row here, right? But I'm missing Improved Haunt, I'm missing Withering Bolt, I'm missing Sacrilash, I'm missing Cunning Cruelty, and realistically I've overspent 1 point up here as well because 9 points in the first part of my tree and not 8. And it feels like I'm going to want to have, I mean, you're going to want Cunning, Cruelty, and Sacrilege basically in M plus cleave based settings. They're designed to be played in those settings. Hellcaller might even want this in single target, but what do? I don't know. You really want Withering Bolt, obviously, in single target, but what do? I don't know. There's a million points in here that I want as well. So keep building into the Fuss build here. Relinquish is 2 points. Fatal Echoes is 2 points. I think these are also prime candidates to be made 1 point talents. I don't want the whole tree to be 1 point talents. I mean, I'm down for that. We shouldn't be able to get the entire tree. But it feels like we're very limited with there being a lot of bloat in Gate 2. And then right going into Gate 3, you've got 2-point node, 2-point node leading into like the talents you want to play in their own respective settings. Like, so we go into Relinquish here. We have to get 2 points there, and the Patient 0 into Sow the Seeds. Obviously, for M+, you want that. You're playing Creeping Death everywhere. You pretty much want to play Visionary everywhere, and you're at a point where you're also playing Nocturnal Yield for sure in M+. It's, you know, Seed of Corruption, instant cast, no soul shards, and you're going to play Shared Instability. So I'm at a point now as well where I have 2 points left to spend essentially in my entire tree. I would love to grab Cloying Power, which is relevant in single target, as well as relevant in like AoE and Cleave. There's a lot of talk about Cloying Power being good in M+ builds for AF right now, but it's so hard to get because there's 2 points that they go into Fatal Echoes. I don't want to play it in M+. I mean, like, it's fine. It's okay in M+, but it's not worth a 2 point talent investment when I haven't put a point in Death's Embrace or Ravenous or anything up here that I want value-wise, right? Cloying being gated by Creep feels awkward. 2 points is just too much to invest here. But if Relinquish was 1 point, and this was 1 point, we could go like, you know, basically save a point here, hop into Fatal Echoes. We have 2 points left. You can grab Cloying Power. You could grab Death's Embrace. You could grab something else up here if you want, right? But there's these weird 2 point gates, or 2 point, I guess you can call them gates, combined with a lot of talents you just want or need or feel like you need in M+, like Nocturnal Yield. Yield, Seeds of Corruption or Destruction, Sacrilege, Dark Strike, Cunning Cruelty. You can't even play these. I don't have enough points for them, but. And you get to the point where it's like, all right, well, what do I want to do here? I'm probably going to end up just grabbing like Ravenous Afflictions and maybe throw a point somewhere in Sacrilege, right? But this build, unfortunately, lacks a lot of single target. I have no Improved Haunt. I have no Withering Bolt. I have no Fatal Echoes. I have no Cloying Power. I have no Cascading Calamity or Soul Miser. No Death's Embrace. And Grasp is like pretty single target based. Like, I'm probably not going to play it in Plus, but I'm lacking a lot of single target UA relevancy. And there's a world where UA itself just does enough damage where, you know, your single target's okay regardless, but if we're playing in a world where Unstable Affliction is doing enough damage without any of the modifiers in single target to be competitive in single target, UA is grotesquely overtuned. So there's a lot of bloat around the AoE M+ Seed-esque build, and I don't want talents removed here. I actually I like the talents that are in the tree, but I think we need to condense things down a bit. This can easily become 1 point. There's Improved Haunt doesn't need to be around anymore. We could make this 1. I mean, I understand keeping it at 2, it's fine. I think the best candidate is to make these 1 point talents, 1-1 and 1-1, honestly, and it opens up a lot of flexibility here. Right. I can't get all my capstones either way if there's 10 points in here, right? I can go. I mean, I guess I really can't either way, right? Can we even do that? Let me see. I guess. I mean, no, you wouldn't even be able to, right? But it feels restricted in a sense. Like we could come in here and prune things back a little bit, trim some of like the bloat around, like the excess, you know, fat around the edges, and clean this up into a really tight version of Affliction. That's fun to play and really good. But I'm worried we might be in a scenario of, okay, we have a really good seed build for M+, and a lot of like utility there, or a lot of like, you know, it's good, it's really good in AoE, but we're lacking in single target because we don't have the points for it over here, and in general. And in both scenarios, like whether you're doing an M+ build or a single target build, the middle of the part of the tree here is a little bloated, we talked about, and up here, spending 9 points, who wants to spend 9 points in the first part of the tree? I don't want to overspend up here. Preferably just delete these. I don't care anymore. Sac hasn't been good in a million years. If we're not going to make it a raw percent damage increase like what Embrace does, just delete it. Just make it a PvP talent so they can play it in arenas that they want. It's fine. Legit. And just get this out of here. Buff the spec. I don't know. Like, it's a shadow of what it used to be. It's just not really fun to see in the tree anymore. It's like, it used to be cool, but now it's just like, eh. And we only play it on fights where pets are bugged, which is a problem in itself. So, Arenas, PvP, probably play it. Once again, put it down here. But that's what I have for Affliction. So moving on to Demonology, I talk a lot. Oh yeah, ad block, yippee! So we talk a lot more about Demonology, like talent wise. There's a bit of like rotational talk in here as well about how the spec flows, or doesn't flow, whatever. But a mention about a handful of talents and things here too. So I'm going to read through this a bit more. Basically, if you don't know about Demonology, in Midnight, there's an imp cap of 9 imps. You can never exceed 9 regular imps. You can have 9 imps and 3 ancient imps, but you cannot go past 9 imps. I talked about it more here as well, and opinions vary here. But for me personally, this is my opinion and things. I talked about it somewhere in here as well. If I can find it. Yeah. 9 imp cap, everything else, like, and the fact that I can't summon my army of imps anymore with my tyrant being out. I have like 10 plus, they're all extended, so I summon 10 more. It's 20 imps blasting. That was super cool. That was the master summoner kind of feel. That plus the removal of Grimoire Felguard, Demonic Strength, Bombers, left Demon feeling a bit lacking, I think. It feels as if I'm simply casting Shadow Bolt, Demon Bolt, and the Eye of Gul'dan for 50 seconds out of a minute, which basically is the case, besides casting dogs every 20 seconds. It feels like I am essentially just a bystander. Like, there's a lot of really, really cool demons. I mentioned bystander in here somewhere as well. I don't know where it went. But there's a lot of really, really cool demons that Demonology can summon. But they're all just, like, passively summoned. Like, I like the Vilephian change being part of Dreadstalkers. I think that's pretty good, actually. It was fine because Vilephian's cast time was clunky. But, like, Doomguard's super sick, but it's passive. We're imploding. Vilephian's really cool, but it's passive. Dogs. The imps are cool, but I got a limit of 9. Tyrant's cool, but he doesn't extend half the pets anymore. Pitlord's cool, but it's passive from Diabolist. Mother Chaos is cool, but passive. Overlord's cool, but passive. The eyeballs are cool, but passive. Everything's just like passively spawning in. I'm just sitting there casting Shadow Bolt, Demon Bolt, Eye of Gul'dan, Shadow Bolt, and like, don't get me wrong, it's a different playstyle, but it's still very similar to what Demonology's done. It's just you're basically replacing in single target Hand of Gul'dan summoning 3 imps with Eye of Gul'dan, and then you can tune around that and make it fine, and it will all end up being okay damage wise probably, but it just feels sort of empty, at least to me. Now I've got sort of a crazy idea we talked about right here. I'll come back to this as well. But I mentioned a good bit about Eye of Gul'dan. Eye of Gul'dan is the spell that your Hand of Gul'dan changes into. It will literally change this button right here into a green spell called Eye of Gul'dan. I'll even show you here briefly just to make it simpler. Whenever I have 9 imps out, I have 3, or I have 0 right now. This is my regular imp, don't worry about it. So we'll build the 5 shards. I'm going to cast a hand. There's 3 imps. I'll build a bunch again here. They never expire. It doesn't matter. Here's 6. And here's 9. Watch my Hand of Gul'dan change to Eye of Gul'dan. So it's now green. Whenever I build 3 shards, I can cast Eye of Gul'dan. Watch Eye of Gul'dan. Just zap. Then I'm back to casting Shadow Bolts, or Demon Bolts again. And I cast dogs once every 20. There's a Felguard spawning in, but it's passive. Everything else is passive. It just feels like Eye of Gul'dan is really underwhelming. Now I know that like the imp cap is around for a handful of reasons, because I mean Tyrant setup was I guess a point of contention with like demo stuff and all that. Be that as it may, the imp cap probably around to stay, but I think we could elaborate a lot on Eye of Gul'dan and make it a lot more exciting to play with, because in single target it's like I'm just Shadow Bolting, green zap, Shadow Bolt zap. It's just sort of boring. It just feels boring, honestly. Shadow Bolt zap, Demon Bolt zap, dog zap. I'm just like zapping with a little green beam. What if we took Eye of Gul'dan, the ability, the green button right here, and made it like Hand of Gul'dan, in a sense, where you just, whenever you cast Eye of Gul'dan, the little green zap from your hand is gone, but you summon 3 Eyes of Gul'dan from like back in the day from Nether Portal. The eyeballs that would spawn in and zap those big red beams into the target. Why don't we just do that? That's so much cooler. It's so much more thematic. It's literally the master summoner part of Demonology. And that, I think, to me, that fixes all of like the weird, like, oh, it's just sort of bland Shadow Bolt simulator. You're summoning in the Eyes of Gul'dan. They don't need to work with Tyrant. They don't need to count towards imps or anything. They're just a mob that spawns in, does damage, and goes away. The Eye of Gul'dan spawns in, and it summons like 3 Eyes of Gul'dan. You cast a spell, it summons 3 Eyes of Gul'dan. You can have 3 Eyes of Gul'dan out, 6 or 9 of them, how imps used to be during Tyrant. So whenever you Tyrant or whatever, you've got 9 imps out at the cap, but you might have 6, 9, or 12 Eyes of Gul'dan Eyes of Gul'dan out as well. They're just casting these big red zap beams into the boss. That sounds so cool, and that's what Demonology is, a master summoner, not Shadow Bolt spam simulator, man. I just, you know, and obviously it's not just Shadow Bolt, it's Shadow Bolt and Demon Bolt and a little green zap, and then I'm back to bolting again for 85% of my time, honestly. Like, I summon imps for 10 seconds out of a minute, and it's the same gameplay of Shadow Bolt, Demon Bolt, Eye of Gul'dan for a minute in single target. You cast dogs once every 20, and that's it. You know, if we build upon Eye of Gul'dan, there's so much thematic potential there with like summoning in 3 Eyes of Gul'dan. Look at old Nether Portal footage. They'd sometimes spawn in from Nether Portal, and there are these 3 eyes that zap the boss with these big red laser beam, and they sit there for like 10 seconds and just channel into the boss. That'd be so cool. Visually, you don't need any pet interactions. You can make it a simple NPC that does X damage, and that's it. But it would still be so cool. There's no tyrant extensions to worry about. There's no mastery scaling. It doesn't matter. Just make it something cool and exciting. Because a little green zap beam is just so underwhelming. It just feels like my master summoner class is gone. I'm Shadow Bolt Simulator. I'm just watching these demons spawning around me. It's like being at a car show and seeing the cool Ferraris and Lambos going by. I'm sitting there in my Corolla just checking it out. Like, I wish I was that. That's really cool. Look at that. That's a cool one. That's very sick. I have my 84 horsepower engine up. It just feels it could be so much better. I don't know, but that's where I'm at with that. As far as other abilities here, I'm gonna skim through this. Entorin and Axe Toss. Entorin over here. This should be called Doomguard Bracers, not Entorin. That's me. That's on me. But yeah, either way, basically Doomguard Bracers, like I'll change it right now. Doomguard Bracers is a weird one. I think we just need to honestly make it so like Axe Toss is a stun again, and just give us a way to kick. We either need to make it so Axe Toss can interrupt a mob and not stun, or just give us like Grimoire Felguard or a Grimoire Fell Hunter. Once every 20 seconds, half a minute, we can just summon a Fell Hunter that will kick the mob and bring it into us. Not having an interrupt or having it be a stun as well, so we can't kick a mob in from range. We can't actually interrupt the mob. It's a weird stun effect. It's really awkward and clunky. And once again, in modern day combat, it just hurts the profile. It's already lacking in plus being a warlock. Just we could give us literally Grimoire Fell Hunter or whatever. Make Axe Toss a pure stun again. That's fine. And just give us a kick once every half minute through Grimoire Fell Hunter. There you go. Doomguard Bracers, I mean, realistically, like, if you want this to be a damage increase effect coming out of Fell Armaments for Felguard, it's fine, but, like, the Axe Toss effect is never... The harmful magic effects is really never going to be relevant in PvE. Maybe in PvP, but I struggle to see a world where it is a whole lot there, too. Just giving it some kind of other damage effect spell. You can bring back Demonic Strength if you want. I don't know. It just feels sort of out of place. It's cool, and I get what they're going for, but I don't think it really fits in any real fashion. Besides, like, hey, this is a 5% increase to your demon's damage, which you probably don't even play in the first place. You just path around it. But and Torrent. Oh, they changed the wording. I'm dumb. Yeah, I mixed it up. Cool. Yeah. TLDR and Torrent. Yo, the Tyrant now. This is Tyrant armor plating. Let's make armor plated Tyrant do damage. Like, it's in melee, it's thrashing around, it's slashing, doing AoE damage. It doesn't do really any at all right now. It needs to be buffed, basically. Why don't we make this, like, Decon, Demonic Consumption, like Reign of Tyranny? Let's make it a big damage race Tyrant again. Reign of Tyranny has been gone for a little while, give or take now, but we could do that now because there's no weird world of, like, having to fit max amount of pets in your Tyrant and struggling with that. It's super easy. You get 9 imps in there, they last a whole damn minute, and you get a set of dogs in there. It's so easy. But if you make it so your Tyrant once again has that strong Tyrant's cranking damage profile again, that strong 1 minute burst profile, that's what made Demonology's profile so exciting and like niche in a cool way in like Shadowlands, even like Dragonflight, where you had Reign of Tyranny and Decon just blasting. Let's make Torrent, put armor plating on him, and just crush. Do big damage. Have him stand in melee and thrash around. That's cool. But let's have him do big damage again. It just feels so lackluster right now. But regardless, even if we don't add like the decon part of this back, it needs to be buffed. It doesn't do any damage at all right now. But it's cool. He looks cool. Let's make him actually hit in a cool manner. Moving on from there, Ancient Imps are in a weird spot too. The way these things work, just 3 of them spawn in, basically. 3 of them just spawn in. There's a 15-second internal timer on Ancient Imps as to when they're going to spawn in. So, like, basically, you can't track the spawn time of ancient imps. Like, let me go out of here. So like, they're gonna spawn in a sec. Let me dismiss my actual main pet here, which I have out being an imp right now. They're gonna spawn in like 5 seconds here. Now there's also a world where, how do I phrase this? I can siphon right now, for example, right? And because they just spawned in there, they wouldn't spawn in for like 13 more seconds. But if I siphon, like, I don't know, like right about now, they're going to spawn in probably like 5 seconds, give or take. There they are. Because there's this weird internal timer on ancient imps that you can't track or anything. But it makes it so you want to like min-max around them respawning back in, so you have less downtime on their firebolts as well, with like siphon and all that being a thing, but you can't track it, and it's odd. If it stays that way, I mean, it is what it is. It just feels like it's sort of subpar. I don't really know how to combat that or how to change that, because they're not going to add a tracker to it internally, I don't think. Maybe there's some world where, like, whenever you power siphon, like whenever I hit my power siphon, which comes out before ancient imps, like, it just spawns 3 imps back in instantly. That'd be cool, because there are weird worlds where you're trying to like play around siphoning pre-combat when you're pulling the boss, having imps spawn back in for your first like cast. It's just weird. That needs to be looked at if we can, but I digress. I mean, see where that goes. And Sack Souls being here, it's so undertuned. We can't get 20 imps out anymore. We can get 9. This thing needs to be buffed substantially, probably, because we don't get anywhere near the number of demons we used to get with well, no imp capping in place. So there's that. I summarize Demonology. I know that they're not really going to be changing much when it comes to the imp cap. I wish there was. I don't like the imp cap a whole lot, but I understand why they're doing it, and I am accepting of it. I liked it more when we had that big master summoner kind of feel. But I really do think if we were able to change Eye of Gul'dan in some form to make it like a summoner-esque ability, like spawn in 3 Eyes of Gul'dan, Nether Portal, have them just blast a target with those big red fell eye beams for like 5 seconds, 8 seconds, that would be so cool. And that fills that summoner-esque like feel that you want, without having to tie them into like imp spawns and tyrant extensions and all that stuff. That's what I want for Demonology. Honestly, I think that could be a pretty good change. But we'll see. Destruction is interesting. I think Destruction is actually in a pretty decent spot until you get to like the capstone section of the tree. That's where it all falls apart. It's worth noting, Destruction, for as far as like raw talent points you can spend in the tree over here, not including Apex talents, on retail, it's 42. There are 42 possible like total talent points to be spent in this part of the tree. In Midnight, there's 44. So they've added 2 more. We haven't gotten any extra talents to play with in Midnight, because essentially you're getting 4 new talents for the spec tree, but they're all going over here. So you're not getting any new talent points in Midnight, essentially, to be in this part of the tree, unless Apex talents are undertuned, and that's not going to happen. So we probably need to look at like trimming some of this down in the first place a little bit if possible. But honestly, there's a lot of like just bloat in the capstone part of the tree as well again, which like it just feels like that could be trimmed down too. I will say, improved Havoc, I love. Super sick. Making Havoc 20 seconds with a half-minute cooldown feels really good. It feels like you're feeding into Destro being that Havoc cleaves back again. That's super sick. Mayhem does not get the duration extension from improved Havoc. It only gets the damage amp. Now, I know that Mayhem is very finicky with a higher high end and a lower low end based on procs and stuff. Maybe there's a world where you can add like an extra second or 2 onto Mayhem if you're playing improved Havoc. So it goes from like 5 to like 6 or 7 seconds on the procs. Maybe, possibly. Not sure. It feels like it benefits Havoc a lot more than Mayhem. Havoc gets both the damage amp and the duration increase. Mayhem only gets damage increase. So possibly worth mentioning. See where that goes, but that's that. Roaring Blaze and Conflagrate. I like separating these 3 Conflagrate charges. Is nice. All that. Very cool. Also worth mentioning, Summoner's Embrace and Sacrifice are in Gate 2. Destro tree. Look back to AF about 20 minutes ago. It's in Gate 1 for AF. It's like sitting right here. But for Destro, it's in Gate 2. We need this in Gate 2 for Affliction once again, or just delete it. I don't know. But once again, not having to overspend in the first part of Destro's tree. You've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, I guess theoretically, but you can pull this obviously if you're not in cleave settings, right? So there's that. But yeah, a lot of things focus on the bottom part of the tree. Roaring Blaze, very briefly, I mentioned this as well, for Shared Agony for Affliction. It needs to prioritize mobs that don't have Immolate or Wither on them to spread it to. And then it needs to prioritize refreshing Immolate or Wither on the ones that have a lower remaining duration on the dot. Currently it's just random and it's chaos. So it needs to have some like smart logic built into that, like Twin Moons does, from what I understand. There's that. Lake of Fire is right here. I actually like Lake of Fire a lot. I think it's cool. It hits really hard also, FYI. But unfortunately, Lake of Fire is a ground play stability that we're only going to have once every half a minute, unlike Rain of Fire being ground play stability, but you can spam it. Cataclysm, half-minute cooldown. Lake of Fire, half-minute cooldown. It's low-key just hard to see. Like, here's Lake of Fire. Not this, but this effect here. It's left. That when I'm raining Hellfire and Brimstone down with Rain of Fire spam and everyone else is throwing stuff around and melee and M+, I can't see that. The tank can't see that. I would love a new visual effect like Death Knight's Defile pool, but like a red bubbling pool, like a literal lake of fire. That'd be super sick. I don't think we're escaping the ground placed effect or the like the cataclysm effect on the ground. That's how it's going to be. The ability is good if you're looking at like raw damage, but the ground placed effect is going to be very, very hard to see for tanks, everything in M+, and yeah, a DK-esque Defile ability with like a red bubbling pool of lava would be super cool versus like the 10-year-old visual of cracked earth from Cataclysm. But yeah, building upon that, we need to move these around too, or it'd be nice to, because like you're pathing from Summer's Embrace and Asher Remains into like Fire and Brimstone, which is like a weird cleave-based talent, and it leads into Ember Storm. Ember Storm has like universal relevancy, right? It makes sense to have Ember Storm here and FMB here. Ember Storm even reduces the casting of Incinerate, so you put this here, and it feeds into an ability that, you know, has it cleave, right? We can swap these around, because having the path into like Asher Remains into Flashpoint into Ember Storm feels weird, and I don't want to take Fire and Brimstone in single target. That's really weird. But quick swap there, that'd be really good. The big thing for Destro though is getting into the capstones. I'm trying not to be like rude or anything, but I think it's sort of a mess. I get the design philosophy and everything behind shifting Soulfire and Dimensional Rift over here to like summon an avatar. You want casting Soulfire or D-Rift to be rewarding, and it summons an Overlord or Overfiend, whatever. But Ritual of Ruin and Overfiend being where they are currently in Warthin right here, where it's like spend 15 shards, 10 shards, whatever, summon an Overlord, is fine. We don't need to change that. Like, it's really cool having that planned Overfiend, that planned Chaos Bolt, Ritual of Ruin. It feels good rotationally. I don't think we need to change things just for the sake of changing things for a new expansion. If it works, leave it. Destro's had Immolate, Incinerate, Conflagrate, Chaos Bolt, Rain of Fire for 15 years at this point. And yeah, does it get old? Maybe eventually a little bit, but it still works, right? We don't need to. I don't think we need to move this around too much just for the sake of new expansions here. You know, move talents around, right? I get what they're going for here and trying to make Soulfire and D-Rift rewarding by summoning one, but I think we have to put this back where it was. I don't think we need to have Avatar over here. Soulfire, we're talking about right here as well. We finally gotten Soulfire to a state where it feels good to hit in War Within with Decimation. The button glows, you know, hey, this is a big hard-hitting spell. It's basically free because it's super reduced cast time, gives me a shard, damage, cast it, boom. Spells like that feel good to hit, a la Shadowburn. They changed Shadowburn to basically be that. It glows, you hit it, right? That's cool. We're excited about that. Removing Decimation from Shadowburn or Soulfire and putting it here with a long cast time and some weird... It just, we're taking a step back. Like, it's not broken. It actually feels good to play. We don't need to change it. And it feels like we're trying to change things for the sake of just changing things. You know, I don't mean it like in a condescending way. Just like, it feels good to play with now. Avatar feels good now. We don't. It doesn't. You know what I mean? It's just disappointing, and it feels like ugh. We got to where it's fun, and now it's like ugh, again. We reduced the cast of Soulfire from 4 to 3 basically last build. You can backdraft it, but it just feels weird. Like it's already good now. Why make it, you know, in a lesser form, right? To a similar extent, Dimensional Rifts. Whenever you open a Chaos Tear, it summons an Overfiend. It's pure RNG, but you crack here with these rifts. You have 3 charges. I've hit 3 charges at once, like back to back to back, and gotten 2 Chaos Tears and an Unstable Tear, which summoned 2 Overlords. I've also hit it, I think, 8 times in a row and gotten no Chaos Tears. It's pure RNG. Pure RNG, like that feels terrible. Just being straight up, it feels bad. You need to make it so it's like every third rift summons an overlord if it stays this way, overfiend. I don't think it should stay this way. If it were, I would love to have a part of the tree like over here where it's like D rift, flame rift, space time, and you just build around dimensional rift. Put the baseline part of burning, not burning embers, but little cleaving embers from rifts back into them. They're gone. They're not around anymore. Put those back in the D rift baseline. Put flame rift here. Every third rift's a flame rift guaranteed. That's super sick. And put space time over here, or put like the reset clause from rifts over here. Whenever immolate ticks, you get a chance to get a refund on rift. That's so cool. Rift's one of the coolest abilities in the Destro tree. It's iconic from Legion, but it's just been this thing we've thrown around the tree randomly, like from here to here to here, with no flavor built around it. And it's just like, it's just there. And it hasn't been good since, I don't know, what was it? Dragonflight S3, when it had the tier set built around it. And it was like, it's even been bugged for a long time now. We're doing less damage than intended. And it has like a weird like apex of like doing, it's just bugged. It's been bugged for a long. I even forgot what it was, but I know it's been bugged forever. Like, it needs big buffs. Having it tied to Overlord just feels weird. Orpheum feels weird. I don't know. Mark of Ruverard, I think is what it's called. I mean, it feels like a placeholder talent. I even wrote that actually. Yeah, it feels like a placeholder ability. You can just trim this. Remember how the tree has 44 talent points in it? You can make it 42. This can just go. We don't need it for anything. It's whatever. It doesn't need to be here. I mean, like, don't get me wrong, it's sort of cool, I guess, but we don't need it. It doesn't do anything. It's just another passive, click this, does more damage, we don't ever feel it kind of thing, right? When it comes to improved Chaos Bolt, honestly, improved Chaos Bolt could be put into Chaos Bolt baseline. It's not going to happen, but you could just put this into Chaos Bolt baseline and fully free up a talent node here. It's how it probably should have been for last expansion as well, but it's just there. When it comes to things like Incarnate and Embers, once again, these could be baseline. I mean, you're looking at passive. I mean, they're all passive abilities that could be baked in baseline. We're not going to get rid of them all, but we can easily clean up those 2 points that were added into the spec tree by just baking some of this stuff in baseline, right? Embers probably, I mean, can stay here or whatever, but like Ruin going to 2 points, Conflagration Chaos being 2 points, Rapidity being 2 points, Ashen going to 2 points, Backlash being 2 points. Backlash, Ashen, Conflagration, and Ruin are all 1 point talents now in retail currently. I think we can make these 1 point talents again, at least some of them, to reduce the raw number of points in the tree in the first place. And it gets to a point where it's like, it almost feels like I can't get everything that I want in the bottom part of the tree here. Realistically, I don't even want much because like it's all just sort of weird to play with. And when it comes to like the Demon Fire Infusion CDF node over here, the part of the talent that extends, withers, or immolates whenever you cast CDF's been removed. It's not around anymore. Now you have Roaring Blaze to sort of do that, which is fine for the most part. There's been some weird scenarios where it hasn't really applied to everything. But between it and Catabing, things obviously, it's probably fine. But CDF, DFI, and this don't feel capstone worthy at all. If you buff this damage like significantly and or add the extension clause back to it, it might feel that way, but it being like a middle part of the tree ability for so many expansions now in a row, making it a capstone, and then trimming a third of it off with like the extension clause feels really lackluster. It feels really subpar. Maybe if you made it hit really hard, add some more flair to it, and make it like you can channel this ability on the move when you're moving, give Destro some mobility finally, that'd be really cool, actually. I wouldn't mind that. I want something else better from movement, obviously, but like in the end, maybe giving us that cast moving ability part on CDF, making it a capstone, make it hit much harder, have it like launch a, I don't know, launch a big Demon Fire blast when the channel finishes. That'd be cool. Like, make it like CDF. Just get rid of this thing. It doesn't do anything anymore. It's whatever. Make it like CDF or DFI into like, I don't know, Demon Fire blast or something like that, where it just does a big old Demon Fire nuke whenever you're done channeling the ability, or randomly procs sometimes. Maybe you get to like X amount of DFI procs and it guarantees a big Demon Fire nuke. That'd be cool. Make this cast while moving, but like it just feels like it's a lot of like just passive. This does more damage, like, and passive. I mean, literally in the capstones, it's like, I mean, passive. I mean, passive, and passive, basically, right? Like I think the changes like the middle and upper part of the tree are really good. The core toolkit feels better with 3 conflagrates, Roaring Blaze, longer Havoc, and all that. But the capstones feel like it feels like there could be so much more built upon them. Dimensional Rifts crush again. Overlords, Orpheans doing his thing still with Ritual of Ruin. Soulfire Decimation procs, huge. CDF cast on moving, or cast Demon Fire nuke every half a minute. That'd be so sick, but it's just like, they're all here in like a lesser form of themselves, right? So I don't know. I don't want to seem like I'm like trying to bash things, make, oh, this is terrible, blah, blah, blah. No, you can definitely change things, but like, it just feels like the capstones are my biggest concern with Destro. That reducing the cost of abilities here. It's just a little bit too bloated with like these points being 2, 4, 6. I mean, so yeah, I don't know. That's Destro, but the last little bit of it is going to be based around the class tree. I'm not going to hit on the class tree a whole lot. The video is long. I've already gone half an hour plus here, but at the same time, like, people have some gripes with the class tree, and I have some with like raw talents, but at the same time, you can get whatever you want in the class tree. There's so many points available. Everything's like 1 point talent node for the most part, or early on 2 point. You can get whatever you want. If you want, there's like 3 points left, basically building an M+ tree or a raid tree or whatever. You can get whatever you want. It doesn't really matter a whole lot, but there are some talents I wish were tuned a little differently. The first is Fiend Destroyed. Dude, this thing, I think we're the only class in the game that has to hurt ourselves to move faster. We have to set ourselves on fire to move faster. To be fair, it's very Warlocky. It does feel very good, or it's very cool, but like Fiend Destroyed used to negate a lot more damage from Burning Rush. In Dragonflight, it was reduced to 10% in War Within. It needs to be more. Burning Rush hurts pretty bad. It might have been excessive in Dragonflight. I think it was like 40% damage reduction, 50%. I don't know exactly what. It didn't really hurt much in Dragonflight. It hurts in War Within. And spending a point in this to get a speed increase, additional speed increase is nice from 50 to 70, but like, I would love more of a mitigation on here. Yeah, even like 30 or 40 might be fine, honestly. But 10 is just too low. It feels bad investing into this unless you really want the speed increase. So the biggest thing in the tree here, honestly, I want to hit on is Horrify and Howl of Terror. Brother, let's make Howl of Terror, the targets we fear, be affected by Horrify. I don't think it changed anything in PvP. It doesn't really matter either way. They're going to get broken in a second anyways, probably. Or you just natty fear. I don't think it's even played in PvP. Maybe it is, but I doubt it. Howl of Terror literally says let loose a terrifying howl, causing 5 enemies within 10 yards to flee in fear. I mean, it's not even saying it's in-capping like Coil. It's literally fearing. Let's have Howl of Terror work with Horrify. So in M+, if we need like an AoE stop, like Psychic Scream or something like that, you can just go Howl of Terror. And you can fear them, but they're in place. Howl of Terror in M+ now is, you don't do it, because like they just run everywhere and pull the whole dungeon. But if Horrify worked with Howl of Terror, that'd be so sick. And it would add a bit to Warlock's already lacking toolkit when it comes to M+. So you have an AoE 4-second cooldown that can, mass fear in place. That's super sick. I mean, like, they'd all be broken in a matter of half a second anyways from like the tremble in place thing. But like, sometimes they just run so fast in one direction, they pull another pack. In a world where they're not broken in half a second, hey, having it standing right here next to me, trembling in fear for a second or two, and not pulling 4 packs in that part of the dungeon I'm never going to pull in the first place, would be so much better. Let's do that. That'd be so sick. The synergy here would be great. I'd love that. So that's sick. Let's do that. This thing was changed last alpha, like 2 weeks ago. It used to be 15% when it was initially introduced. It's 8% now. It's not 8 additional percent. It's just 8. Unfortunately, Soul Leech grants 10% baseline, just like the actual part of Soul Leech is 10%. It's 10% up to a max of 10. I'm not reading this wrong, right? Yeah. 8% of your max health from that talent, and this is 10. Yeah, so this is like just a nerf for Soul Leech. It needs to be like additional 8% or put back to 15%. I could be dumb at reading this wrong. I'm pretty sure it was just like, it used to be 2 points. It was made 1. I think you just cut it in half and didn't realize Soul Leech is 10% baseline. Probably need to fix that. Yeah. So a couple little things here briefly. Black Harvest. I don't know what you want to do with this thing, but there's so much potential behind Black Harvest. You can make it bigger demons. You can make it like, a steroid imp, a juiced Voidwalker, a Sayab with 10 arms instead of 6 to be even cooler, a Core Hound, some bigger beefed up demons that we can play and maintain them. That'd be so sick, but teaching Black Harvest has been tossed around in this tree so many times. It's like the weird placeholder talent. It's like a weird placeholder talent that's never really played in PvE. Probably played in arenas. I don't know. Probably is. Couldn't tell you, but like it was here 2 weeks ago as a capstone. It's been here for a long time in retail. It used to be here on retail. It was over here last week. Now it's over here. Let's make this something thematic where our pets are bigger, they're stronger, they're better. Not some incredibly niche like utility from them. I've played this once in PvE, and it was for demo to increase my Felguard's charge range because of Birdkeeper Durna running around the room. That was literally it. Let's make Black Harvest fun. It'd be so sick. Frequent Traveler, this thing, double gate, just a bug. Spelled wrong. I caught it a couple days ago. If you're spamming gate a bunch with like a control shard or a macro, if you hit it a bunch, then gate, it can double debuff you sometimes, but it's taking it once. So yeah, I gotta watch that. I don't know how they're gonna do it, but feedback. And then Blight and packs. I made a whole video on packs and stuff. They broke the macros this week to like shift packs and cast curses through them. They made last week. I've given up on it. I don't know. I don't like them, but I get what they're going for. I think it's impractical and just overcomplicated, but it is what it is. I think a really good world or a medium for Blight would just be, hey, straight up, it's just called like, I don't know, Impending Blight. You could even make a throwback to Catastrophe. Call it Impending Blight. Same ability here, literally 2-minute cooldown. You just cast a Blight. It doesn't need to be controlled by packs, and it says it juices up the value of your curses that are active on whatever target it hits. So like if I have a bunch of tongues active through Foul Mouth, which is over here, somewhere in here, I don't even know where it's at this point. Where's Foul Mouth? Here. If the pack I'm fighting has 10 curse of tongues out, and I cast Impending Blight, it just makes all those tongues turn into 12-second, double cast time tongues, right? And when it ends, they go back to older tongues. Or same with weakness, or same with exhaustion. Just do that. It's probably the best answer without changing us to Impending Catastrophe. You probably just should make it that in the first place, honestly, so it's smart cursing. But then you lose the functionality of being able to like curse of exhaustion mobs with Blight, so I guess they want to keep it this way. That's probably what I'd do. At the same time, I've already given up on packs. I don't care enough anymore. We spent 3 hours making macros on them and they broke them. So like, I don't mean that in a bad way, but it's like, I don't know. I give them my 2 cents on it. I think packs are overcomplicating things, but whatever. That's what it is. I think they're cool, actually. I like having stances for lock, but like having to have like 10 different buttons, like contort my hands to hit curses, and it's just not fun. But I give up on it. It's whatever. So, but that's that. And I want to drive home in this video once again in that if it sounded like I was trying to be like negative or demeaning or condescending towards anybody, I'm not in the slightest. I'm just passionate about Warlock. I want it to be fun and exciting. And I haven't wanted to make this 10-page document for a month now because I hate typing it all up, but in the end, it needed to happen. So hopefully you enjoyed the video. I'm going to call it here. Thank you for all the support, guys. Legit. I hope you enjoy the nice decorations. There's a skull over there. Blinking, very cool. Yeah, thanks for watching the video, guys. If you're still here this long into it, a massive thank you to my supporters on Patreon. All supporting Patreon, guys, like always. Thank y'all for all the support. I appreciate it a million times. Without y'all support, I wouldn't be able to keep doing what I'm doing for y'all. And yeah, thank you, guys. I would assume it could be next week that we're in beta, and if you pre-ordered Epic Edition of midnight, you get beta access. I think the day when it comes out. I wouldn't be surprised if we stay in alpha for another week or two, for add-on devs to get things working, and or like nameplates to get fixed or changed and raid frames and all that. I have no idea. We're gonna see, but I hope beta's close because I want to run dungeons with people and not AI NPCs like follower dungeons. I want to test Warlock, but I can't. Play it soon. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll catch y'all again soon on stream. Peace.